Georgia's 14th congressional district is holding a special election today to fill the House seat left vacant by former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. More than a dozen candidates are running to replace her, and this includes Republicans Clay Fuller, who has secured President Trump's endorsement, and former state Senator Colton Moore. The most well-known Democrat in the race is Sean Harris. He's a retired Army brigadier who had previously challenged MTG back in 2024. Let's discuss all this with Tia Mitchell. She's the Washington bureau chief for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and a journalist I know well. A warm good morning to you, Tia. Great to have you with us. What else?
Good morning.
What else should we know about today's election and the candidates running in it? And I guess for the people living there, what's at stake for them?
So this is a very crowded special election. All candidates from both parties are all on the same ballot. If no one receives 50% of the vote, which is very likely, then the top two vote getters will head to a runoff. We do expect it's going to be low turnout. There are a lot of people in this district, who are unaware of the special election, just haven't been keeping up with the news. So the candidates have been focused in these closing hours of getting voters to the polls because a lot of it is going to hinge on turnout. But what's at stake is their next member of Congress. I think also what's at stake is what type of representative they elect. Marjorie Taylor Greene, particularly early in her political career, was making enemies and not afraid to make people mad and not afraid to kind of say controversial things. And in a lot of ways, the district applauded her, especially, her base of hard right conservative Republicans really applauded her. But we all know that with time, Marjorie Taylor Greene really changed her approach and became much more populist. Republicans in particular have some choices. You mentioned Clay Fuller, who is Trump endorsed, but he is considered kind of a more mainstream Republican, very loyal to Trump, but not necessarily that firebrand. State Senator Colton Moore, who did not get Trump's endorsement, but has a lot of grassroots support, is that firebrand who's willing to go toe-to-toe, not just with Democrats, but with fellow Republicans. So the question is, what type of representative do voters in that district want? Knowing that, yes, Sean Harris, the Democrat, is likely to make it to a runoff, but a Democrat is not likely to win the seat in the end.
And considering what you laid out about, not a lot of voters know that this is happening, you very well could have low voter turnout. There could be a surprise. I'm just wondering, based on some of the polling and what you know about what people there want, if the voters who turned out for MTG want someone to continue to challenge the president, or if, as was the case when she was initially elected and re-elected, they want someone who's lockstep in with the president.
From what we hear from voters, they want someone who's lockstep in with the president. But virtually every Republican, there are more than a dozen competing for this seat, every one of them say they will be in lockstep with the president. So there's really not a lot of difference policy-wise between a lot of these Republican candidates. What is different is, again, Clay Fuller is the only one who can say, I was endorsed by Trump. Trump came to the district and did a political event. Well, it was an official stop, but, it gave him an opportunity to allow Clay Fuller to come to the stage and say, I'm the Trump candidate. I'm who Trump wants in this seat. But even Colton Moore has said, I'm the one who backed the Stop the Steal efforts in 2020. If you want someone who's the true Trumpy person, it's me, even if I don't have Trump's endorsement. So I think for voters, it's more about approach. It's going to be, again, about who was able to connect with voters to even make sure they know that there's an election happening today. Last night, for example, Clay Fuller was literally texting every person in his phone to say, don't forget, we need you to show up and vote tomorrow. I ran into another candidate who was walking through the main strip in Rome, Georgia, passing out stickers and literature, trying to get out the vote. His name was Bo Brown, not necessarily considered one of the top tier candidates, but he was pounding the pavement,
The idea that every vote counts. I've been to Rome, Georgia before. It's a very, very beautiful place there in Georgia. We will stay close to your reporting, Tia, and see how this all unfolds. Great to see you this morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.